I want to thank Maritza, and I want to thank the family for being here today.
It's a pleasure.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, from the press. What the family seeks justice in this case. Nobody should be shot in the freeway who is undergoing serious mental issues. Unfortunately, the California Highway Patrol never trains its officers to have reverence for human life. And they never train them to have proper police protocols. Es una vergüenza que estamos aquí hoy día porque un oficial se pasó la raya y se convirtió en un criminal matando a un ser humano. Ese policía debe de ser arrestado y procesado como un delincuente porque se pasó la raya y se convirtió en criminal. We want to reach out to the community to contact us if they have additional videos, if they have additional photographs, if they witness this brutal killing of a young man on the freeway. We reach out to the community for that because we want justice. Maritza and the entire family wants justice for Jesse. He should have never been shot 7 times. We thought it was 4 times, and that's why we included 4 times. But it turns out that he was shot 7 times when he was on the ground. He was not an imminent threat to this officer at any time. The officer was poorly trained, and he was a trigger-happy cop. Bang, bang, bang! To a human being. He's not shooting a dog. He's shooting at a human life. 7 times. He didn't deserve to die that way. No merecía morir en esas circunstancias. El oficial le tiró 7 balazos a un ser humano. Ese oficial debe de ser arrestado y procesado, como dije. In the future, we're going to be reaching out to George Gascon's office because this highway patrol officer should be charged with second-degree murder or manslaughter, voluntary manslaughter. We're going to reach out to see if there will be justice in the criminal courts. We will seek justice in the civil courts for the enormous harm that this trigger-happy cop did to the family, destroyed the family. Luckily, we're here with Maritza, and we're here with Grandma and uncles, and they are going to speak also. But at this moment, the only thing that the family asks is for justice, and that Gascon do justice by making sure that this officer is prosecuted. This officer is a danger to the community. He has no business wearing a badge and patrolling the streets. He turned himself into a common criminal the minute he unleashed those 7 bullets against a man that is on the ground. He's not getting up. He's on the ground, and he boom, 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 blasted him to kingdom come. There is no justice if Gascon does not prosecute this officer. And we will persuade, ask, demand that Gascon prosecute this officer. Ahora, we're going to...
Yeah, before we get to the video, we just wanted to let you all know that this is a copy of the claim that was filed yesterday against the California Highway Patrol for the actions of this officer. Now, the family recognizes that he shouldn't have been on the freeway. Jesse shouldn't have been on the freeway. But Jesse was undergoing a serious mental health crisis. He needed help, not to be harmed. And what happened in this situation is that he was harmed by this officer who went hands-on, escalated the situation. And when you see the slowed-down video, you're going to see 7 shots entering his body, 8 total being fired. And the last few are the worst because Jesse's lying face up, totally motionless at the time that he keeps getting these shots fired in his body. He had no chance of living after these shots. He had 0 chance of living. And that's the issue that we have and the family has is he needed help. Why not call for backup and help? He was on the freeway. Sure, he shouldn't have been on the freeway, but we can't all be judged by one action, one serious mental health crisis where we're calling out for help, we're calling out for attention. That's what the family is looking for. Hoy día estamos aquí para anunciar que ayer archivamos un reclamo en contra del Estado de California por medio de la patrulla de caminos. Es por las acciones de un oficial que balaceó 7 veces al cuerpo de Jesse Dominguez cuando estaba acostado en la carretera 105. Y por eso estamos aquí. We're going to switch to the video, and my dad's going to go over the slow motion video so you all can see how egregious this is.
And then family members will also speak.
Can you get both of your names?
Yes, Michael Carrillo and Luis Carrillo.
Can we dim the lights?
Yes, we can. Can we get one of those?
Can we close that door in that office? Thank you.
Here it is, Michael. Look at
Vanessa, can you bring me the flash drive? Family. While we turn on the lights while we figure this out, we can have the family speak.
That's a good idea. ¿Quién quiere hablar primero? You say whatever you want.
Dermilio González. Dermilio González. DERMIDIO.
Can you come in the middle of the table for a second? More. Thank you, sir.
My last name's Gonzalez.
Wait, can you spell your first name? I'm sorry, we thought it was, I can tell, mister.
It's D-E-R. Oh, sorry. D-E-R-M-I-D-I-O. Gonzalez. Jesse was my nephew, but he was 6 months older than me. Him being my nephew, so we were raised like brothers. So, yeah, he meant a lot to us. You know, he was always a goofball. He's a gentle giant. So, honestly, to see him end up in that situation the way he did is exactly the person I saw him to be. He wasn't confrontational. He had no fighting abilities. So to see him on his back like that, just before the holidays, he's a big missing piece to my sister, my mom. We're a small family, but we like to try to stay tight. He always called randomly, just trying to get a laugh out of everybody. Everything he ever did was all well-intentioned. He was always a nice guy. He apologized after everything he did. You know, we loved him very much, and he's going to be greatly missed. Again, he's a huge missing piece, and we're going to miss him forever. Holidays, birthdays, forever. Jesse, yo era el tío de Jesse, y aunque era mi sobrino, crecimos como hermanos. Siempre hubo conflicto así como de hermanos, pero siempre estuvo bien, nos amábamos bastante. Era gigante, pero nunca, sus intenciones siempre eran buenas, ¿verdad? Nunca hacía cosas de hecho así para molestar a la gente, para lastimar a la gente. No merecía eso lo que le pasó. Y así antes de el día de acción y antes de Christmas, ya viene el cumpleaños de mi hermana, su mamá. Lo vamos a extrañar bastante. Y no es justo lo que le pasó. Igual así como lo vimos tirado en el piso, es honestamente, como lo veo yo, él no tenía tácticas para pelear, no era así, no merecía eso. Ni tuvo la chance de evitar eso el policía. El policía no le dio chance a mi sobrino que se levante, que cambie cómo terminó. Todo fue decidido en ese momento. Yeah. Don't even know what I said. Yeah. So, yeah, the way I'd like to see what happened before and why the decision to shoot my nephew down like that was all decided within a matter of what seemed to be seconds. He didn't deserve that, and he was never given a chance to. It seems like the decision was already made, and he was never given a chance to act differently. I'm not sure what ensued before the only video that's out there. So I'd like to see why the decision was made and no chance was given to my nephew, and why he had to go down like that on his back. Thank you.
This is Jesse's other uncle, Jose.
My name is Jose Figueroa. I'm Jesse's uncle. I'd just like to say Jesse had a very tough, unkind life, and he had to endure a lot. Growing up, tough divorce, separation from his sister, almost lethal stroke that left my sister without any movement from his leg and the ability to speak. And it's almost as if he lost her when that happened, when at the time when he needed her the most. In the past year, Jesse and I became closer. He was reaching out to me, and he used to text me all the time, like almost every week. We used to talk. We came closer, and I'm the uncle, I'm the tío. He used to call me tío. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It was kept me up to what he was doing, and he was helping me, actually. We were helping each other, you know. Jesse, we don't know what happened, how they ended up on the ground. All we see is the video of them wrestling on the ground. We don't know what happened, but fact is that no one deserves to get shot 7 times. Okay. Fact is, my nephew is in a freezer right now, and this cop, this criminal, this murderer, he is at home getting paid with our taxes. He needs to be jailed, and I'm calling on District Attorney Gascon to bring up criminal charges now. What is he waiting for? I would like to know that. Es un llamado para el fiscal del distrito que arreste a este criminal, este asesino. Él no se merece ser llamado oficial de policía. Es un criminal, es un asesino. Lo que hizo él no tiene razón para haber tirado 8 balazos. Okay. ¿Por qué está esperando el fiscal? ¿Cuándo va a arrestarlo? Es todo. That's it. Thank you. Figueroa.
Not yet, not yet, not yet. This is the grandma of Jesse.
Mi nombre es Edith González y soy la abuela materna de Jesse Dominguez. E-D-I-T-H, Edith. Yes. Sí.
Can you do it in Spanish and English?
Okay. I hope you understand my English. Yeah, my name is Edith Gonzalez, and I am here. I am the Jesse's grandmother, and I'm Marisa's mother, you know. And I agree with my older son, Jose, you know, with everything what he say. But I want to add, you know, we are here for justice, asking for justice for my grandson. Because, you know, I got him in my hand, you know, since he's born. I want him in the hospital with my daughter. And I hold him the first time, and I've been holding him for all his 34 years. I always been close with him, and I know his personality, and I know the way he is. I know he was capable to get up. You know, at the time, you know, he was on the floor, laying down on the floor. And I think the officer, he knew that. Because that's why they've been training for that, you know. They've been training for, to save the citizen, not to kill the citizen without any reason. Because he knew, he might know, you know, how he was, you know, for any reason, he was walking on the highway, and he must know he didn't hold any weapon or anything like that. At the time he shot, you know, but can I just continue in Spanish? Okay. Mi nieto tenía una operación en el estómago, Cuando él le presionó, según veo en el video, le presionó, en ese momento mi nieto ya no tenía acción porque él tenía dolor, ¿verdad? Y él continuó con él. Le disparó, estoy casi 100% segura, conociendo a mi nieto, que él no iba a levantarse, no iba a actuar contra el policía. Y él, con un hombre de 260, 270 libras que pesaba mi nieto y la altura de 5 pies 3 pulgadas, no iba a ser capaz de levantarse con la agilidad para atacar al policía. Y ellos están entrenados para poderse defender o poderse ver. Como él se retiró para dispararle, él así podía haberse retirado y pedir ayuda a otros oficiales y poderlo detener a mi nieto. Así es de que, en resumen, estamos aquí con el sentir de toda mi familia. Vamos a extrañar a mi nieto toda la vida. Todo este holiday, este Thanksgiving que hemos pasado, lo hemos extrañado porque el año pasado hemos disfrutado su presencia. Estuvimos juntos, todos disfrutando porque era un hombre feliz, era un hombre que nos hacía la vida feliz a todos con sus chistes, con sus bromas. Era muy cariñoso. Entonces, esto es una cosa que, le repito, estamos aquí para pedir justicia y apoyando a los demás casos que están anteriores a este. Esto es una cosa que no puede continuar. El señor Gascón tiene que poner un paro a esto y tiene que ser más fuerte para los delincuentes. Muchos comentarios he escuchado de que él dice de que no arresta o deja salir a los criminales que no tienen, los delitos no son muy fuertes. Es un fiscal que él se le ha puesto ahí, la ciudad, todos nosotros los ciudadanos lo hemos puesto ahí, para que él controle la delincuencia, no para que esté soportando a los delincuentes y que ellos continúen haciendo lo que ellos quieren. Delincuentes que están en la calle y delincuentes que están adentro del servicio policial. Eso es todo y muchas gracias. Ojalá que sea justicia para todos mi nieto y para todos lo que ha sucedido y que pare esto. Conmigo era muy feliz, era muy contento. Él me daba los momentos que estaba conmigo, era muy grato porque me abrazaba, me decía bromas muy bonitas y todo el tiempo, I love you, I miss you, I love you, I miss you, todo el tiempo, con mi hija también, para eso nos llamaba. A veces no estábamos con él y se iba y nos llamaba, I love you and I miss you. Esas eran las palabras que él decía todo el tiempo para nosotros. Entonces vamos a extrañar todo ese amor que él nos daba, ¿verdad?
¿Puede decirnos en inglés lo que acaba de decir?
We're going to miss him very much because, he always been a loving son and a loving grandson. And he always calling us, just to say I love you and I miss you. The last time we hear his voice, my daughter, he called him 2:01 in the afternoon, and that it was the last time. He say, she asked him, what happened, and he said, no, I just called you because I want to say I love you and I'm gonna miss you, and I miss you. And then that's the last word we hear from him.
You started in Spanish something about his stomach, and I didn't understand you. Can you explain what was happening? What was that part about his stomach?
Oh, he had a surgery?
That's what I thought you said, but
Yeah.
before, this was an older surgery, right?
Yeah, it did a couple years ago. It was something like to hit the stomach.
Gastric
Yeah,
bypass.
yeah, yeah. But he was telling me, he has pain, over here. At the time you press him, he was a lot of pain in his stomach, and that way we think, when he pressed, his knee in his stomach. I'm pretty sure, he has a lot of pain on that time. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're going to show the video real quick, the super slow-mo, and then we'll take questions after that.
Seven shots without.
So what I'd like to point out is, it's been alleged in the report that there was some sort of taser that was allegedly in Jesse's possession that they say flew out of his hands. We haven't seen any taser. CHP hasn't released any photo of any taser that they recovered. Could have been a telephone. We call on the CHP and their department to release any photographs of this alleged taser, how it was used, release the statement so that the public is aware, so that the public knows what exactly was going on in this scenario. And as we can see, Jesse's on the ground, lifeless at the time of these last shots. Every officer has to justify each and every bullet. And I don't know how you justify these last few when he's on his back, lifeless, motionless on the ground while the officer is backing away. At this point, these are excessive. I can't tell. It just keeps going. This is just going to keep repeating. But again, the family recognizes he shouldn't have been on the 105 freeway, but they should have called, and they could have called for mental health units, some sort of backup to help and assist this officer. And Jesse, who really needed help, he didn't need to be shot and killed this many times.
An officer who has reverence for human life, looking at a young man walking in a major freeway, he should realize that this young man has some mental issues. An officer who is trained, he should realize that a young man walking in the middle of a freeway, a major highway, has some mental issues. Before he pulled out his gun, this officer should have called for mental health professionals. He should have called his sergeant. He should have called for backup. Anything to preserve human life. But no, he didn't do any of those. He pulled out his gun and he blasted Jesse to kingdom come with these 7 shots. That is an outrage. We demand that Gascon charge this officer with second-degree murder or voluntary manslaughter. He's a danger to the community. He should not be wearing a badge. He should not be patrolling the streets anymore.
So you are challenging that he had a taser?
Yes, as of today, the family has asked for information, evidence about this alleged taser that the CHP put out. Again, we can't always count on CHP statements. For example, in the Edward Bronstein case, they alleged that Edward Bronstein died of a methamphetamine toxicity. We can't trust the CHP statements. We, the attorneys and the family, want to see this alleged taser. We want to see the body cam footage. We want to see the digital in-car video from the patrol car. Until then, we're not going to believe these unfounded statements by supervisors.
Can you tell us, Mr. Dominguez, por favor, if you know what Jesse was doing on the 101 at that time? Why was he there?
No sabemos por qué estaba en autopista. Obviamente él tenía un crisis mental. Más razón para que el oficial le llamara a médicos en lugar de dispararle 7 veces y matarlo. Entonces, cualquier oficial, even a rookie cop, viendo un hombre en la carretera así, le debe de llamar a su sargento, le debe de llamar a médicos para salvarle la vida, no quitarle la vida. Este oficial le quitó la vida en un instante. Eso se debe al mal entrenamiento que les da la patrulla de caminos a esos oficiales. Y este oficial tenía tendencias de asesino. In my opinion, this cop was a trigger-happy cop. You can't shoot a defenseless man on the ground that many times unless you have animus in your heart instead of reverence for human life.
Dos preguntas, abogado. La primera, después del primer disparo se ve que un objeto va rodando, probablemente el taser. Una, ¿ya tienen notificación oficial de que era realmente un taser? Una,
No tenemos.
¿lo usó o no usó el taser? Y la tercera pregunta que tendría yo es, una, ¿cree usted, con los años de experiencia que tiene en este tipo de casos, que finalmente un policía va a terminar en la cárcel? En 30 años no ha pasado nada. ¿Cree que esta vez podría pasar?
No sabemos si era un taser. Es lo primero, como dijo Michael. No sabemos si era un taser o no. Podría ser otro objeto. Ellos, como dice Michael, no han enseñado ninguna fotos de un taser. Entonces dudamos de la versión de la patrulla de caminos, porque en el otro caso que tuvimos de Edward Bronstein, ellos ocultaron un video año y medio hasta que el juez ordenó que se divulgara ese video al público. Entonces dudamos de la veracidad de los oficiales de la patrulla de caminos. Para mí ya se inició un complot para tapar y encubrir las fechorías de este oficial. We can't trust the Highway Patrol. We've seen them in another case where they had a video of Bronstein and they wouldn't turn it over for a year and a half. So we don't trust their versions of that. They said there was a taser involved. They should have showed pictures of that. That's why, like my son said, we want to see pictures of the taser. But a taser is not a gun. A taser does not kill. Even if it had one, which we don't believe, that would not kill an officer who's standing above him and looking down on a helpless man who's going through a mental crisis. For him to blast him to kingdom come means that this officer does not deserve to be a police officer. He deserves to be arrested, locked up in jail, and processed like a criminal because he crossed the line. He became a criminal when he shot Jesse Dominguez. Este oficial cruzó la raya cuando mató a Jesse Dominguez. Ya no era oficial, era un criminal que merece estar encarcelado en este instante. Él está libre y la familia está agonizando.
So I think what's important too is that right now the family will admit that Jesse had bought a stun gun because he needed to protect himself. But a stun gun is different than a taser. A taser has two prongs that shoot out from a distance. A stun gun is different. Now, again, the family is unclear, have been given no information directly from the CHP that there was a stun gun, it was used, that Jesse tried to use it. And even though the family's asked, the first time the family heard about this alleged stun gun was in the media. So, you know, CHP officers, sergeants, where is your version? Where is your proof? We're asking for that now. Go ahead.
Can you clarify, because this is a claim. What is the next legal step that you're taking here? What's the plan after this?
So the first step towards a lawsuit is a government claim, which we filed yesterday. After 45 days, we can officially file the lawsuit, but we have to wait the 45 days for them to see if they'll recognize the error of their ways, which 99% of the time they don't. So the lawsuit will be coming.
Okay. The question I
Sam.
present to you, in your experience for many, many years handling these cases, do you believe that finally one police officer will be in jail? Yes or no?
Well, can I answer that?
Well, let me just. Primeramente, archivamos el reclamo. Tenemos que esperar 45 días y después podemos archivar la demanda en la corte exigiendo justicia. Pero sí tenemos que esperar. Okay.
De vez en cuando Gascón sí arresta, sí, perdón. En el pasado Gascón sí le ha archivado cargos a oficiales. En el caso de Long Beach, de Mona, archivaron casos de intento de asesinato en contra del oficial. En el caso de los sheriffs que mataron a un joven, uno de los oficiales le archivaron cargos porque usó la fuerza excesiva. Tenemos la esperanza, obviamente solo Dios sabe si Gascón les va a archivar cargos, pero tenemos la esperanza que sí le va a archivar cargos debido a la magnitud de lo que hizo este oficial.
Can you answer what you believe he was doing on that highway? I think you answered it in Spanish earlier, but
That's the big question that we don't know. We don't know how he got there. We don't know what he was doing there. But all we know is that he did have serious mental issues. And this police officer seeing a young man on a highway with speeding traffic, he should know that it's not all there. And that's why his enormous failure to call mental health professionals or backup or a sergeant, that's where he totally blew it. And then he took the law into his own hands and brings out his gun and doesn't shoot once or twice. He shot 7 times at a man that was on the ground, defenseless and helpless.
CHP would say that if that stun gun was there, the officer wouldn't have had time to react and to effectively process that was a stun.
No, I would say that if he was a poorly trained officer, he would become a trigger-happy cop. That a well-trained officer would put some distance between himself and Jesse. He would say, wait a minute, I'm going to get over here till I see what exactly is on the ground. But this was not a well-trained officer. The Highway Patrol does not train their officers. And because of that, they commit these crimes against the residents. 6, like my son said, 6 Highway Patrol officers and a sergeant were present when they asphyxiated Edward Bronstein.
So I just want to answer your question too. Even if there was a stun gun present, let's just say the officer has to have an objective fear of death or serious bodily injury. Now, looking at the video, to me, it doesn't look like the officer was in risk of serious bodily injury or death, which is what's required in order to use deadly force. So, again, it all comes down to the facts, and that's why we're calling on the community to give us other videos if they have them, maybe surveillance cameras in the area, because we need to know what was leading up to that point. Why did the officer go hands-on initially, and why did he not just back away, say, hey, wait a minute, what's going on here? Instead, he backed away shooting at the time.
In the time of this press conference, I've asked the CHP for any sort of evidence on there being a taser present, or as you guys are saying, a stun gun. They deferred my question to the state AG's office. Have you reached out to the AG's office looking to get some of these answers?
We have reached out to the state AG's office, and we understand that after January 1st of last year, the state AG's office will investigate officer-involved shootings in which someone doesn't have a weapon. Jesse's case is a perfect example. But in our experience with the AG's office, in other cases, they take 2 years and they still don't make decisions. We have other families suffering, just as this family has, because Rob Bonta's office, the state AG's office, does not take action. They wait, they wait, they wait. And by the time that's done, the civil case is already over. These families deserve to know what's going on right now, and they can't just kick it down the road. The CHP department probably has the video, probably has the dash cam video, so why not release it to the community? They don't have to wait on the state AG for that.
Can you talk to us about Jesse himself? What did he do? Where was he from? Where did he go to school? Just a little bit about him, and also specifically about his struggles with mental health. Did he have a specific diagnosis? Did he take medication? Had he ever been in an institution related to that?
I'm going to ask Dermidio to speak on that if you can, just to give us a little bit more background, obviously.
Michael, while that happens, do you know the name of the officer already?
No, we don't. Again, they haven't released the officer's name, his rank, his assignment, anything like that.
So Jesse, he moved out to Silmar, where we reside, just after middle school, and he attended high school just in San Fernando. Sorry, I didn't get your other questions.
What did he do for work?
Oh, he was always a server. He enjoyed interacting with people, and that's the line of work that he enjoyed. Diagnosis, when he was young, he was diagnosed with bipolar disease, or bipolar disorder, sorry. He suffered from depression and anxiety, and I do want to get rid of this false narrative that he was homeless because he was a failed actor. He was not homeless because he was a failed actor. He was very much loved. Everyone's had their own struggles. Again, back to his mental health. We've all had hurdles, and nobody's perfect, and that's kind of, those were some of the tough times that he's endured in his life.
Can you talk about him wanting to be an actor and how what is relevant there?
He loved to sing. This guy loved to sing. That's what he loved most. He used to joke about wanting to become a famous singer. acting was also in there, but passion, this guy would never stop singing, and we would joke about that all the time.
What did he say? Anything? Was it
Anything, really.
Did
Anything.
you like listening to him sing?
Sometimes it was part of our discussions. Where I just needed him to quiet down, but
How many brothers and sisters, and where was he in that one?
he has one sister, and it's just two of them. But all of us, nephews, cousins, we're all close in age, so a lot of us grew up so close we considered each other siblings.
Okay. ¿Qué clase de pensamientos o sentimientos te vienen a ti como tío de él al ver la manera en que lo están asesinando?
Parece como que, otra vez voy a repetir que fue una decisión que parece que no le tomó ni un segundo para decidir que murió ahí como un perro, peor que un perro, porque era excesivo las veces que le disparó. Otra vez, yo creo que después del segundo balazo se ve que su cuerpo ya reaccionó al balazo, el impacto que tuvo, y así que lo resto que le cayó fue excesivo.
Cuando ves el video, ¿qué pasa?
Me enoja, honestamente. Me da como rabia, me da querer entender por qué alguien puede tomar una decisión así, de tomar la vida de alguien. Otra vez, si en el video se ve que él pudo alejarse, entonces, ¿por qué la decisión no es accesar lo que está pasando en vez de nomás dispararle las 7 veces?
Were his struggles to break into the business a contributing factor to his depression?
Definitely not.
Okay, so
Definitely not. No, he lived, he worked, he always had a job. We actually used to make jokes between us because he was great at getting jobs. This guy would sell himself anywhere he said he applied, he would always get a call back. And I would tell him all the time, why do you like jumping around? He just says he liked interacting with people.
But in terms of breaking into like the music industry, or
No, he aspired to be a singer, but I cannot say that that's exactly what he was chasing. You know, it was not. It was something that he did for fun, and he would have loved it if he did become famous for it. But it wasn't something that he was really trying to get into.
And was he homeless? Because I want to make sure that we clarify that point that you said.
He was not homeless.
He was not homeless.
He
That
was
one's
not homeless.
true at all. And was he
No.
homeless at any point in this?
No.
Okay.
Was there a monetary amount associated with that?
We want justice. We want justice. We want to see this police officer behind bars. That's number one. We want justice in the civil court. There's no talk about any amount of money here. Justice, justice, justice. That's what the family wants.
I really want
¿Una
to.
casa de ayuda mental cuando esto pasó? ¿En ese tiempo les daban una casa de ayuda mental o no?
No.
Ustedes se ven como una familia muy unidas, ¿eh? Es evidente que son unidos. Pensar que algo así le pasa a una familia que quizás jamás se les ocurrió que les podía ocurrir. ¿Cómo les está cambiando la vida esto a ustedes en este momento?
Como mencionamos, el día que pasó el incidente, estábamos hablando con él. Estábamos hablando con él una hora antes de que pasó esto. Y para que sepa, me tuve que ir de la casa de mi mamá a otro evento que teníamos con mi esposa. En la noche que llegamos a la casa, en las redes sociales ya vi ese video, sin saber que ese era mi sobrino. Me sentí mal, tuve el mismo pensamiento. ¿Por qué tan excesivo? ¿Verdad? Y ahí el día siguiente en el trabajo tomé una llamada de parte de mi mamá que me estaban diciendo que algo pasó con mi sobrino. Algo tan...
Entonces, ¿cuándo se dieron cuenta ustedes que se trataba de su sobrino? O sea, eso pasó el domingo. ¿Ustedes cuándo se enteran de eso?
El día siguiente, como a mediodía.
¿Quién les notificó?
El Departamento de Justicia llegó con otros detectives o investigadores.
O sea, no fue el CHP quien llegó a su casa.
No. No.
Can you say that in English that you
Yeah.
found out and saw the video without?
Yeah, so just the day before Sunday, at 1:30, between 1 and 2, there were several phone calls between my sister, his mom, and him. Just the same thing, just saying, I love you. Again, he'd check in on his mom from time to time, check in on my mom from time to time. I had to leave to another event, and later on that night, I was just scrolling through social media. I saw the video, and I had the same exact thought I have now, where I immediately thought it was excessive. And without seeing the rest of the video, you don't really know. There's nothing that tells you what led up to it. But still, you see the police or the CHP officer back up. Through all of his shooting, he was able to stand up without Jesse trying to hold him down or anything like that, and take all of his shots. Rather than just take a couple steps back and assess what was going on, he just decided in that moment to just take my nephew's life.
And when did you find out?
Oh, I'm sorry. And then the next day, around noon or so, I got a phone call from home saying that something had happened to my nephew. And so it was almost a full 24 hours before we knew anything.
Did it change how you felt about having seen that video?
Of course, I felt.
Like you saw it without knowing.
I saw it without knowing and felt and had the immediate thought that it was excessive. And then all the emotions come with watching the video because it's a family member. You see a lot of this stuff happen on TV and social media, and there's always opinions about how things should have gone. But it's one of those things that you never really think it's going to happen to you or your family. And now it's really hit home, right? We're missing a loved one. We're missing someone that was important to our family. She has 2 kids. That was her only boy.
Can we just zero in real quick on the exact claim that there's been a lot of points here made, but when it comes down to it, is this that mental health resources were not called when they should have been, the lack of training, is it a combination? What's the exact claim here against the
Sure. So it's the exact claim that we filed alleges that the CHP failed to train its officers, and that this officer acted out of a policy, that he didn't take into account the reverence for human life for Jesse, and he shot without justification. That's the bare bones what the claim means. And obviously we needed to do this before we filed the lawsuit. So it's just the bare bones. But again, it's on November 19th, Jesse was shot and killed by this officer unjustly without justification. That's what the claim is.
And part of that is not calling possible mental health resources?
Yes, we felt like this officer could have called mental health resources. They had other experts that could come to the scene, sergeants that could evaluate the situation and figure out what was going on. As we know now, no other sergeant, no supervisor was called. This officer took all the actions himself, going hands-on with no backup, going hands-on, and then shooting Jesse 7 times.
Do you feel that this officer will be exonerated?
Pues no sabemos lo que va a pasar con el oficial, ni sabemos el nombre del oficial. Queremos saber eso y estamos exigiendo del Departamento de Justicia de California que nos da la información de este oficial para poner su nombre en la demanda y para que la comunidad sepa el nombre del oficial que disparó sin justificación.
Michael, I know that this is very difficult for the family to be here in front of the cameras, and we thank you for doing that. We really, really do. We wanted to find out if Mom would want to say a few words, no questions, unless she wanted to say something. We'd appreciate to hear from her as well.
I think that piensa que es prudente que hable su hija o no.
Sin hacer preguntas, lo que ella nos quiera decir.
La razón es porque ella, después de su stroke que le dio, ella tiene expressing aphasia. Ella sabe que se puede expresar con algunas palabras, pero ustedes posiblemente no le vayan a entender. Es la razón. Pero usted, ¿quiere que pueda decir algo? ¿Alguna palabra que quiera decir?
I love you.
I love you. Solo diga, I love him. ¿Qué quiere para que hagan para Jesse? Ajá. Dígales ahí enfrente.
Justicia. Justicia. Yes.
Ya, no más.
Ya.
What would have happened if no video showed up?
If there was no video, we know what would happen. It's the same with these other cases. which is where the CHP puts out a press release blaming the victim, blaming the shooting victim, and the community, the public would just move on. Thankfully, somebody took this video that was recorded, and now we have a little bit of a glimpse of what happened, but we need all the information leading up to it, and we will get that as part of this lawsuit and the civil justice process.
Michael, on that press release, though, they use the word taser. You guys say they're acknowledging a stun gun. Do you believe the CHP was asking or was saying he had a stun gun, or do you think they were talking about a taser?
Yeah, it's hard to say right now. Obviously, the family acknowledges that he did buy a stun gun for his own personal protection, Jesse did, but we're not sure if it was used. We're not sure how it came about. Could have been a cell phone. I mean, at this point, with the CHP not releasing any information, any evidence, or even telling the family the true details the day after the shooting, it's hard for us to say what really happened, and we're not going to know. And sadly, with the DOJ investigating, we might not know for a couple of years until we do our civil part in civil justice.
Michael, as you know, the CHP in court will say that the officer was fearful for his life. How do you dispute that?
So,
In the court of law, how would you address that?
In a court of law, and Michael said it earlier, every police officer has to justify each bullet that he fires. A police officer owns each bullet that he fires, and he has to justify if there was an imminent threat on his life to fire even one bullet. But in this case, there was not one bullet fired. There were 7 bullets that were fired. Cada oficial tiene que justificar cuando dispara un balazo en contra de un ser humano. Tiene que justificar que su vida estaba en peligro inminente. Aquí no nomás fue un balazo, pero fueron 7. No puede este oficial justificar 7 balazos cuando el joven ya está muerto en la mitad de los balazos. Esta fue fuerza excesiva. Esta es como el viejo oeste de este país, cuando había trigger-happy gunslingers. That's what this cop was. He was a trigger-happy gunslinger. That's why he should be arrested and prosecuted for his crime.
but it doesn't matter the subjective fear of the officer. Even if the officer goes and makes a statement saying, I was in fear for my life, and that's it. It doesn't matter. It's an objective fear. What would a reasonable officer do in his position? Would a reasonable officer have gone hands-on without calling for backup or support? Probably not. But that's what we're here to uncover. We need to know more information.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Very much. Y gracias a la familia que llegaron aquí.
Gracias a ustedes.